Hey guys, it's Bellamy here from Midnight Suns. I just got back from the very first IMAX 3D screening of Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire here in Singapore. And yeah, this is my quick review of the movie. So before I start this review, I just want to say if you have the opportunity to watch Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire in IMAX this weekend, you should really do it because then you can get this poster before it runs out of stock. This is a really massive A3 poster. It's not one of those IMAX mini posters that you sometimes get when you watch movies in IMAX. So yeah, if you want to watch this movie in IMAX, make sure you do it as soon as you can. But okay, now let's talk about the movie itself. So let me just start off by saying this is not a movie for the critics. This is really just a big, explosive action movie. It's like 2 hours of monsters fighting. There is some human drama, but I think it's even less than the previous movies. Don't get me wrong, there is a story in this movie, but it is a very thin story. Like, the story is only there to lead you from one big action set piece to the next. And if you really like watching monsters, gigantic kaiju titan monsters fight each other, then you're gonna have a heck of a good time watching this movie. If you've seen any of the trailers for this movie, then I would say that is exactly what you're gonna get when you watch this movie. There is no misleading marketing at all here. Like, this is really just a high-budget, explosive, big action Hollywood movie about gigantic kaijus fighting each other. So if that's what you're looking for, then that's what you're gonna get, and it is awesome. So this movie is filled with a ton of monsters. We have Godzilla, of course, and then we have Kong. So those are the two titan monsters. And then we have Kong's new rival, Scar King, and then we also have Scar King's partner in crime, Shimo, which is like this big magical ice dragon. And we also have a pretty big monster return that I won't spoil, but yeah, that was really one of my favorite parts of the movie. And then we also have Donkey Kong Jr., and of course we cannot forget the Lion of Love, Dan Stevens. And really, Dan Stevens, you can tell he's really having the time of his life playing this character in this movie. He plays this character named Trapper. So Trapper is like this veterinarian for gigantic kaijus. And really, you can just tell he's having so much fun in the entire movie because his character is just so over the top and it fits him so perfectly, and yeah, he was just really hilarious in the whole movie. But I would say the most relatable character, the most human character in this movie is surprisingly not even a human at all. And I am of course referring to Kong. He is really the most down-to-earth, relatable character in this movie, and that is just so weird to say. So in this movie, you really get to see a lot more of Kong's personality. Like, he suffers from so many regular human problems, like he has toothaches, he has difficulty fitting into a new crowd, he has a lot of trouble making new friends, and he is so kind-hearted and protective of the people that he loves and the monsters that he loves. Yeah, and you just can't help but root for the guy. He is really the most human character in a movie filled with monsters, and yeah, he's even more human than the humans themselves. And now let's talk about the main selling point of this movie, the action, the monster action. And there are a bunch of pretty good fights throughout the movie. Most of them are pretty short, like there are a lot of individual kaiju battles. But of course, the big fight at the end, the climactic battle, the big tag team match, Godzilla and Kong versus Scar King and Shimo, that fight was awesome. It might just be the best tag team match in cinema history, no kidding. This is definitely the best tag team match you're gonna see this year before The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40. And as for the IMAX 3D experience, it was really fantastic. So this movie was actually filmed for IMAX, and yeah, like 80% of the movie is just visual effects, so if you watch it in IMAX, it's really worth it. The visuals are fantastic, and actually, the 3D conversion, even though it wasn't shot in 3D, but the 3D conversion was really, I think, probably the best 3D conversion I've ever seen in any movie. Like, sometimes when you watch 3D movies, especially those that are post-converted into 3D, sometimes certain objects aren't really converted, aren't really processed that well in 3D, and then you have objects being like weirdly blurry. But in this case, in this post-conversion 3D, I did not notice any of those issues at all. Like, this is definitely one of the best 3D movies I've ever seen in my life, and if you told me that this movie was shot in 3D, I would believe it because I can't tell this was post-converted into 3D. So yes, if you are a fan of 3D movies and they are pretty hard to come by now, then I think definitely watch this movie in IMAX 3D. It's 100% worth it. And if you're not watching this movie in IMAX or 3D, I still think the visuals in this movie were so well done. Now, most of this movie is really CGI. I would say like maybe 80% of the movie, because a lot of the movie doesn't even take place on like Earth itself, or rather, okay, it does take place on Earth, but in hollow Earth, which is like the Earth within the Earth. And yes, there are some pretty big battles in like human civilization on like our regular Earth in certain cities, but a lot of the movie takes place in hollow Earth. And yeah, all the environments, all the monsters, every single thing, even the cities being destroyed on our regular Earth, everything just looks fantastic. The visual effects department really did such a great job on this movie, like especially when the monsters are fighting each other, like the ice beams, the radiation beams, everything just looks freaking amazing. And yeah, this is really an epic movie and one of the best installments of the whole MonsterVerse franchise. And speaking of the MonsterVerse franchise, if you're a huge fan like me and you've actually like go and read the comic books and watched the Monarch TV series that came out recently, like if you've done those things, there are actually some Easter eggs from like all the external projects that appear in this movie. So yeah, all the fans who are consuming all the different forms of media of this entire MonsterVerse franchise, I think you will be rewarded quite well with this movie with a lot of the Easter eggs. And even if you don't consume all those other external forms of media, I still think if you have watched the previous Godzilla vs. Kong movie and the previous Godzilla movies and the Kong Skull Island movie, then I still think that that's enough for you to really enjoy this movie to the full. And alright, now let me give my final score for this movie. So I'm hovering between an 8 out of 10 and an 8.5 out of 10. And thinking about it, I think I shall give this movie an 8 out of 10. Apart from Dune 2, I think this is my favorite movie of the year so far. And I'm just somebody who really enjoys all this, I guess you could say, big, dumb action movies. And yeah, if you love the MonsterVerse movies as much as I do, then I think you're gonna have one heck of a great time watching this movie. And like I said earlier, watch it in IMAX if you can, and yeah, I can highly recommend IMAX and IMAX 3D. And that's all for this review, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, we do a ton of movie reviews here on the Midnight Science channel. And yeah, if you're interested in that kind of thing, do consider subscribing, and we would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, that's all for this video, guys. Thanks again for watching, and as always, stay gold. Bye everybody.